Hi everyone, this is part 2 to the video that we have done about Supernatural, the movie, and about Star Trek, and about showing how in this Matrix movie the Illuminati has showed the two sides fighting. The Neo character versus what's known as the Smith. And we have shown in the Star Trek Into Darkness movie that Spock, a Vulcan, which Vulcanology means a Smith, he represents the Smith. He comes out of a volcano in the latest movie, and then the ship rises out of the ocean. This man here in the Star Trek movie is John. They have traded the situations in Star Trek, and we have determined that the evil entity named Sutech, or Satan, represents Trek, Star Trek, right here. This guy John, who they call Khan, he represents in the Bible Elijah coming. And this is the time of the rapture that's supposed to be going on. These guys want to stop the rapture and put him back to sleep. He is way above them. This is like your new immortal body. They can't stop this guy. This is the new, what we are supposed to become. The old world order wants to keep everybody asleep, all of the new people, and they want to rise up with Satan, Sutech. In this movie, Spock goes, "We Vulcans embrace tech," meaning Sutech, which is the name for the devil, one of his names. In another series, you see this, how he's coming out of the pit here. His girlfriend now is named Ahura, the girl on the ship. Ahura represents the whore riding the beast. Some people have gone on about Lilith lately. If you want Lilith, it's this black girl in this movie called Ahura, and this is her boyfriend, the devil, Satan, right here. The other girl in this movie they're trying to steal is they use a girl in here named Alice Eve, which represents the real Mother Earth. They want to steal her. They keep, as we showed in some other movies, and keep her asleep. Just as in the X-Men movie, they were afraid when the Phoenix rose. When the Phoenix rose from the ashes, they were scared to death, and they tried to put her back to sleep. And then they did a thing, what I showed in here, about touching your soul. Wolverine stuck his claw in and killed the Phoenix by ripping her soul out at the very end, and everybody applauded. That the X-Men movie Last Stand was all about, again, Sutech winning and keeping everybody from being raptured and keeping all of the souls trapped on Earth. That's what this whole plan is. Well, we're going to show the other side of this, because in the Matrix movie, they show this guy fighting the Smith also. Just as in Star Trek, John fought this guy, the devil, the guy with the pointy ears. Even James Kirk, I'm sorry for the spoilers, but he was sleeping in bed with demons. They had pointed ears and tails on, just like in the Transformers movie. He's sleeping with demons in this movie here. Now, just as we saw in this Matrix movie, they get this guy to take out the Smith. He's going to tear down the world. Well, they have another movie that goes on just like this, and it's called Grimm. This man has done the same thing as as in the Matrix movie. He talks in here a lot of times about how he ate the worm and he has woken up. He can see everything. Well, they have an episode. See how he has the axe to cut out all those Sutech things, get rid of all the Vulcans, whatever. But he has an episode where he fights that thing, and it came out just recently too. This is showing the other side. Star Trek, the new Star Trek movie shows Satan winning and keeping all of Jesus' children sleeping and not letting anybody ascend. This movie shows them defeating him. And in this chart here, they show something. They show this Minotaur right here. You can barely see him, but he's getting a mantle put on him. For those that really know Scripture, after Elijah was raptured, they gave his mantle to Elisha. The bull represents a sacrifice, a bull sent down by God. This is the old legends. A Brahma bull. And now this bull has been sacrificed. And they're going to raise this guy up. And he is going to be like the false prophet. Or whatever. Meant to take on that darn thing. This guy will be raised up by Jesus. Jesus is actually sitting right here, putting the mantle on him. This one's drawn out a little bit better. But you can see the Minotaur guy right here going around with his scythe. And they're cutting out those Vulcans, those Sutechs. And just like I talked about in another movie about Mother Earth is going to get revenge, you see her giving these snakes to the people? They're not going to be nice to people. This is going to be a real hard thing coming. There's the stone coming of Daniel 2, if you will. But here he is, this guy right here with this bullhead and this scythe. And right inside of there is the Siphon, as I've talked about. If you watch the Star Trek movie, Bones sticks his hands inside of one of the torpedoes that has Khan's people inside of them. And he's getting energy, which is just like I showed in the Siphon. Star Trek is all about the devil winning and ruling the universe. So let's show this guy right here in this movie coming. And he beats Spock, or the Vulcan. This is from the series Grimm, which was just out recently. The whole episode is called Vulcanism. They're going to catch the Vulcan guy all on fire. This guy is the bull. They're going to use him as bait, and he's the bull, just as we saw in that thing. Just as Elijah would be rose up, given a mantle, and then he has to fight that guy.
I tried to warn her like I tried to warn you. She wouldn't listen. No one ever does. When the earth cries, that's when he wakes.
You think of yourself as some sort of eco-warrior, is that it? Someone takes something from the earth, you think it's your responsibility to avenge it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, why don't you help us with that, Marcus? You know I know what you are.
Doesn't matter. You don't know what he is.
Why don't you tell us?
He's not like anything you've ever seen. He's not like you or me. You think I want to live like this? I do not want to be on that mountain. But I've seen what happens when Vulcanalis rises. I have seen the destruction. He wants his revenge, and he won't stop.
Why don't you tell us about your wife? What happened to her?
I couldn't save her either.
So they come out and talk about it, and they figure out that the Vulcan guy is a Roman god of fire. He represents the old world order. It represents Spock and Rome.
So, do we know who this Vulcanalis character is?
Well, from what I can remember, Vulcanalis is a priest of Vulcan, the Roman god of fire.
Well, according to the ME, Joe Pembry seems to have cooked from the inside out.
So there we go. We have this guy's just like Neo in the Matrix. He even talks a lot about how he had to eat the worm to be able to see. This is the two sides again, as I keep showing. And they go and they trap him. Exactly like I talked about in the Bible, that Elisha received the mantle of Elijah, and then he went and they made a big trap to catch this thing that's coming out. The whole thing about this Vulcan guy coming up is because of the rapture, as they say, because they keep talking about these stones, that he doesn't want anybody to take his rocks. We are all considered rocks. We're all considered the stones of God. We're all another brick in the wall, if you will. All those that ascend with Jesus Christ, he hands them a new stone with your new name on it. This guy comes up when the rapture time happens. And then that's that big fight of the false prophet tearing down the world, and then this guy, freaking Satan.
Okay, not the big one.
start noticing different earthquakes are happening more and more lately. And he's on the Ring of Fire. All of his attacks are associated with the Ring of Fire.
So, I ran all the data on attacks on or around volcanoes. Strangely enough, there are several linked to people taking rocks, which according to some are sacred. Mount St. Helens in Washington.
We are the rocks. Exactly as in the Star Trek movie. They want to keep Khan from getting all of his people. All of his people are the Titans. We are the Titans. If these guys will let us rise, we are going to get our new immortal bodies, and we will be Titans. Literally, a new creation by God, equal to angels, ready to clean the freaking universe up. They're scared. They don't want to let us all wake up. They want us to cycle out of the end of the age.
In Mount Shasta in California, Kamoamoa in Hawaii, Iliamna in Alaska, Hoodoo in...
Anyways, they keep showing it's all associated with the volcanoes, the volcanisms, the freaking Sutech, Spock. This is where they figure out who Marcus is. He's that big bull that's supposed to stand up to that Sutech guy, to be the bait in the big trap. That's what they show. And then they show out about Vulcanalis is really Satan rising from the pit, exactly like Spock. You see how the whole movie industry has two sides going on? And in another one, it talked of pretty well of how the devil wants to make everybody love him now. Just like in Star Trek. Everybody wants to get on the Star Trek. And, I like the series too. But now we find out it's really all about the devil conquering the universe and using man. And he's not going to have flesh around when he finally gets all of his spaceships and everything, or whatever, all of his technology. He's going to get rid of man. He's going to get rid of even demons. He doesn't care. He wants to get rid of everything and just have tech. And tech is all there is. That's what this thing's about. And he keeps all of the rocks. When I talk about orange and red for the devil, the orange represents avarice, greed, not letting go. It doesn't want to let go of the souls. It's going to fight everything it can to keep its rocks, as they talk of. That's what this orange guy means, or the devil. Red.
Well, Americana right about now. I mean, if we're going to be spending this much time here, you should really invest in a decent sound system and an espresso machine.
I got something. Torius Armenta. This is what Marcus looked like.
That's the exact same thing on the Dendera chart coming. He represents Elisha getting the mantle from Elijah. In the other legends, God talks of Brahma, or his essence. But when he sends a Brahma bull to be sacrificed on the earth, he raises it up. Jesus in the Bible in the Old Testament says he's going to raise this guy up. That means he's basically going to be sacrificed like Neo was. And then he's going to be raised up to go fight that other thing. And the whole world's going to be against this guy, because the whole world is with Spock.
Now we know where Bullheaded came from.
They set a trap. Exactly like I've talked to everybody about, that there's going to be a big trap set. And that's part of all the deception and everything. We are supposed to get out of the way. Do not take the mark of the beast. You have to get out of the way so the real fight can go on. That's part of all of this. Take Jesus' grace and trust him. And then let this fight happen.
Listen to this. Known for stubbornness and courage in the face of adversity. Many have been found in the front lines, first to volunteer, willing to face down any enemy. With nerves of steel, under fire.
Hold on. I think I got something on Vulcanalis. Right? I mean, what the hell is that?
That's what we saw tonight.
I'll tell you.
There's Spock.
Hey, what, dude? This looks a little bit like what in my book is known as El Diablo.
What did they write about him?
I don't know.
It's all in Latin.
Well, we know someone who speaks Latin.
Having encountered the molten beast twice before, I enlisted the help of the high priest before I had the courage to return up the mountain. Many of the dwellers in Pompeii had removed rocks. When we discovered the bodies of these villagers burnt and blistered, the priest uttered one word before he ran for his life. Vulcanalis. Too frightened to face it on my own, I retreated just in time as Vesuvius sought revenge, erupting and burying Pompeii. I returned to Rome, where I was to learn that Vulcanalis had often been mistaken for that ancient serpent Satana. But unlike Satana, Vulcanalis lived within the mountains of fire, frequently appearing prior to violent eruptions, as I had so recently learned. That is quite the history lesson. Do you have a lot of these books, by the way?
So there we go. And he normally comes out when chaos comes and big earthquakes and when people take his rocks. Meaning when the rapture happens, that's taking the rocks. That's what wakes everything up, opens the pit in the Bible. And now we see this big mystery going on. So they lay a trap for him and put Marcus in the middle to set the trap and bring him out. So they go to a steel mill, which is a lot like the end of the Iron Man movie, where they fought on a ship with all the steel around. And he comes up out of the manhole covers, and they have the trap set with Marcus there to be the sledgehammer. And he uses a sledgehammer to kill him at the end. After they freeze him, they've shown this trap over and over again. But they've also shown that there is both sides fighting for this. There is groups that want this Vulcanalis guy out. And just as in the Star Trek movie, he kills the bull. He kills John, Khan. And they get to keep all of the rest of the bodies, and they get the siphon on them. They keep sticking their hands inside of the torpedoes to siphon the energy, as we've shown. This is a real evil planet we're on, and it's going to take some big-time stuff to get out of here. To create the birth of the next age, birth us into our new bodies. If there is no birth, then nobody's going to be ascended.
I wonder how long before he'll... I mean, maybe he won't even...
Yeah. Last rites.
Here comes the sledge, just like the axe. There's two sides fighting for this things that's going on at the end of the world. Neither one's going to be pretty. So there we go. In the Star Trek movie, this guy wins and beats the bull, beats Elisha, if you will. In this one, they're showing they're beating him. In Men in Black, Will Smith represents this guy and works with this guy. In the Matrix movie, Neo fights them. It's almost like Neo versus Smith. All of this right here. And they keep showing both sides over and over again that this is going to come. And the pit will be opened and there will be this fight. This thing wants to get out of the trap. And there's a group fighting to help him. And then there's a group fighting to keep him in the trap, if you will. Angels and demons are really fighting all over the earth through all of the different hosts and the people, and keeping it quiet all around the world. Stay with Jesus Christ. We can see that this is all over the place. It's real. So there we go. If you go watch this Star Trek movie, watch how Bones sticks his hand inside of that torpedo, which is just as we showed with the angel siphoning on the Supernatural movie, and how he can siphon. He tries to siphon John. He keeps pushing on John's face when they're fighting, and John's fighting him like hell, man. But and then this guy cheats. He goes and gets the Ahura. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's just all part of it and everything. Captain Kirk even stabs him in the back several times, trying to get him out of there. They want to destroy the ship and keep all the souls, and then they put him back to sleep, and they keep the earth. And for those I've talked about, like Cat or whatever, they put Cat back into the core of the engine, they call it, meaning Sutech stays on Earth. Where I've shown in other ones, they want to get him out of here. They have to get Sutech and this guy out. His Vulcan priest, if you will. Thank you very much, everybody. It's real and all around us. Don't let this thing touch you. Never let him give you. Don't give him permission to touch you. Don't give your crown to anyone other than Jesus Christ, and that's it. Thank you, everybody. It's time for the universe to be done with these things. So that's the same story over and over, just like we saw in the Dendera chart. You can watch my big breakdown about this. They're putting the mantle on that bull. Confess with your mouth, the Lord is Jesus. Believe in your heart, God hath raised him from the dead, and you'll be saved. Hallelujah. It's all real. It's all around us. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't take the mark of the beast. Get out of the way of that bull.